Got the audio ready.
I know. Free from the handcuffs, won't pass the chains. The answer's always very clear. When the guilty is to blame, I'm moving mountains, oh can't you see? I won't stop till you surrender. I won't stop until I'm free. The past, it will find you. Unveil your face of shame, haunting and reminding that the truth remains. Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. I am the warrior, I am the change. I've been hiding in the shadows, waiting for your judgment day. Rest assured, you're to blame. You can't walk through the lake of fire without feeling the heat of the flame. In a picture perfect world full of masquerades, disguising and hiding, but the truth remains. Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the...
All right, this is actually take two.
All right. Sorry, folks. We had a little technical difficulties.
We don't know what it was, but we had one. So we got about a 7-minute podcast the first time, and now we're back
All right.
for podcast 1, take 2.
All right. So, which subject do we want to start out with?
We probably should say who we are.
Yep.
Everybody knows who you are. You're Roberts,
Yep.
the report guy. I'm
And,
Scott Martin.
Yep. AKA Marty Scott in the olden days.
Oh gosh, yeah, that goes way, 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 way back to my radio days.
All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about since we got cut off. We'll kind of talk about UFC. We'll do a small version of it since.
Okay, so
since-
from
Okay.
somebody who did not watch the fight last night, what were the surprises?
surprises. I thought that Tyron Woodley was going to cold cock Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the second round.
And it didn't happen.
No, it did not happen. It ended up being a technical fight the whole entire fight.
So that means it went the full, how many rounds?
5 rounds.
5 rounds?
5 rounds, and Tyron Woodley basically circled the cage. Stephen Wonderboy followed him, and ended up they got a few shots in here and there. Ended up going to the judges, and then Tyron Woodley ended up holding on to it.
So we're talking Floyd Mayweather
split
fight.
decision. Basically, yeah, yeah. It was boring to people that want to see a knockout fight, but it was, for those that like the technical fight. In my opinion, Tyron Woodley's fought a smart fight because Steve Wonderboy Thompson is a martial arts expert around the karate and real technical person. So very, very dangerous, very hard. As Tyron Woodley said, it's very difficult to defend against and to train for. He had several different people come in and help him train, and it must have paid off because he ended up convincing the judges well enough to get the W. So
What was the what was controversial about the decision as far as you're concerned then?
Well, it wasn't. In my opinion, I thought that Tyron Woodley got the takedown. I believe it was in the third round, and beat on his face for a while. And in my opinion, he controlled the fight. Wonderboy did get a few good licks in, but I think I agreed with the decision. Dana White didn't agree with the decision. I agreed with it. So, but if you don't want it to come down to a decision, you should never leave it in the hands of the judges, and you should, work to finish the guy.
Yeah.
So, that.
Now the other fights were any of the other ones?
Yes,
Anything of note?
There was Dan Kelly, and there again, I'll have to go in here and look and see who he fought. But Dan Kelly, I remember him. It was a very, very surprising fight. There was a Team Alpha Male girl that really stands up in my memory that really surprised me. She was going up against a veteran, and this was her first UFC fight. And man, I tell you what, she looked sharp when it come to the submissions. She was all over grappling is what I'm looking at. Grappling, man, she was on point on her grappling, and I'm a huge Team Alpha Male fan. We got Cody Garbrandt coming out of there. Of course, it's the Uriah Faber camp. It's kind of his organization, but they've got Cody Garbrandt, which is now a title holder. You've got the new girl. You've got I'm drawing a blank. But they're just really producing some really good young talent right now. And, so. What else would you like to know for?
I can't think of anything else unless you thought of anything else that...
Well, there is we can kind of talk about a couple of the fights that are coming up that are going to be barn burners, I think.
Okay, there is something I want to know. Will Ronda Rousey ever fight again?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But what have you heard? Anything definitive or?
No.
I mean, after that embarrassment, I was over here for the fight at the last pay-per-view, and she was destroyed.
Well, let me put it this way. If she comes back, it's going to have to be a situation where she's going to have to work her way back up through the ranks, and I just don't see it happening. I think that I think she's done and ready to start a family and maybe work on a movie career. Props to her for what she did do for the women's UFC fighting, MMA fighting, because because of her, we're getting the people like the Paige Van Zant and the Johanna Jeswick and
Missy Roberts.
Amanda Nunes. But because of her, she kind of got it all started. So, a lot of people put her down and make fun of her for what she did, but, I think all in all, me personally, I like watching the women fights. I think a lot of times, the women put more out on the line than what the guys do. It's, I don't know if they're territorial or what the thing is with the women, but they just seem to go all at it from start to finish. So,
well, speaking of your wife, Missy Roberts,
Yes.
the guy that she's in love with, that won won the title belt or something like that?
I'm not sure who that
Cody
is.
or something?
Oh, Cody Garbrandt.
So when does he fight again?
We don't know yet. He
Okay.
he is the bantamweight champion. Actually, we don't know when, but we're pretty sure we know who he will be fighting again.
Okay.
He is probably going to. He is actually one of the judges of the current Ultimate Fighter show that's on Wednesdays. I don't know if they started broadcasting it yet, or not, but they him and Dillashaw. Yeah, Dillashaw will be fighting. They're both judges, and then usually at the end, and usually it happens in Vegas around the week of July the 4th. So I'm going to guess that that's going to be a main event for Fight Week, UFC Fight Week. You ever been to UFC Fight Week?
No, I haven't been to UFC anything other than at your house.
You need to go to a live fight at least once. You change your.
Says the guy who goes to Vegas once a week.
Yep.
I don't. The last time I was in Vegas was 2007.
Yeah, it's it's much different going to a live fight. I mean, just like going to a NASCAR race, a football game, baseball game, it's much different live. Especially if you go to one in Vegas, which is the UFC capital of the world,
Yeah.
it's just the electricity in the air from, if you go during UFC Fight Week, it starts, I mean, this year it's going to start on July the 2nd and it goes through the entire week all the way through to the following Sunday. And they have 3 fights during the week. They have 3 days worth of expo where you can go and meet fighters, get autographs, get pictures. And by the way, UFC fighters are the best, in my opinion, acting athletes in the world. If you see a UFC fighter out walking around, just about every single one of them will take the time to stop, take a picture with you, talk, shake your hand. We met Uriah Faber in the McCarran Airport there a couple years ago. He was on his way. I mean, he was rushed, but he was on his way to his airplane, and he stopped, took a second to take a picture with my wife and I, and that means a lot. We pay to see him fight, watch him entertainment. I think they do well with taking the time with the fans.
All right, good. So, kind of continuing on a sports theme, are you a Steelers fan?
No.
Okay, well, neither am I, but I just saw that they signed Antonio Brown to a 4-year extension, and I thought that was interesting.
You'd have to. I'm really not a. I don't know much about that, so you'd have to fill me in on what's Winston Antonio.
He's their top wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
And so they signed him to a 4-year extension, so they'll have him until 2021 or something like that.
Yeah, I do know that I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, so I do sort of follow that a little bit. I'm pretty.
Are you still a Cam Newton fan?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I kind of see Cam Newton along the same lines of how Randy Moss started out. Randy Moss had kind of the cocky attitude, and you're young. You're out of college. I mean, he was real young out of college. I guess they both were, but
right.
You're a millionaire. You're higher than life. So, he still does good things, though. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them do, but, I've seen times where he's been out practicing on the field and see a little kid alongside and go over and, one handicapped person, he actually took his shoes off at the end of his practice, signed the shoes, and give them to him. I think he might even give him his jersey, too. Signed his jersey and give it to him, took a picture with him. So, I mean, even though people think he might be a punk, he's still a good person, I think, outside the field. And he's competitive, so, if you put a young, competitive person, millionaire, it's a recipe for disaster sometimes.
Yeah, I understand.
Can you imagine making $14 million? Or whatever.
I'd like to try to see if I could handle that. I'd like to try to see how well I can handle that. I'd give it my best shot.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we win the lottery or something. I guess you have to play to win the lottery, though.
Yeah, so. I don't play either.
But what about baseball?
I hate it.
What is up with baseball?
I hate it.
I used to be the biggest. I mean, I played Little League.
Okay, now I agree with you there. So if you go back to the 1980s, every night I was watching the Braves on TBS or the Mets on WOR or the Cubs on WGN. I mean, just about every night I watched baseball, and I loved it.
So when did you stop?
Probably after high school. So it would have been like 1988 or something like that, or maybe shortly after that, maybe 1990.
Could have been somewhere around when they went on strike.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. That's what put a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I'd say that was what, 92 or something like that?
Yeah. You're making multi-million dollars, and you're griping about money.
I don't know. For me, I don't know if it was so much that, but I think it's the fact that now our sports that we watch on television have so much action. Like football or like UFC or even like NASCAR at some periods of time. I mean, sometimes it's
Bristol.
it's going to sleep, but
Yeah.
other times it's I love the super speedways. But and so then I think sometimes I tune into baseball and it's like watching paint dry. And now I agree with what you said though about UFC in the fact that if I go to a baseball game live, it's a lot different than watching it on TV because there's stuff to look at here, there's stuff to look at there, there's stuff to look at all over the entire stadium. But watching it live on TV, I'll watch like 1 or 2 World Series games a year, and that's typically in my baseball for the year.
So, okay, baseball. What about NBA?
No, but that's because I like college basketball, and I think NBA they don't play any defense, and the game's not even any good until like the last minute and a half.
It seems to me I don't call it a bandwagon or whatever, but I was a big Bulls fan. I loved Michael Jordan.
Oh, no, so did I. No, I agree with you there. I watched the Bulls a lot.
They were so
back
exciting
in the
to watch.
80s.
Yeah, I mean when they when they played, like the Knicks, when they played the Boston Celtics, you always knew it was still going to be a barn burner all the way down to the end. And man, Jordan was just so much fun to watch.
I mean, I do like the Cavs, and I like LeBron, and I did watch the playoffs some, but I'm just not an NBA fan. I don't. It may be a culture thing more than anything these days. I don't know that I feel like I identify with NBA players all that much. So
I definitely don't. I couldn't. I mean, LeBron James is probably the only person I could even mention that's.
My son and I went to a
player.
couple Cavs games, and I don't mind, going, but I'm not a big fan. I don't watch every game. But college of everything to me is better. College football is better than pro football. College basketball is better than pro basketball. College hockey is better than pro hockey. I just like it better. I think it's better to watch.
Yeah, hockey's sort of like UFC sometimes. Okay, let's skip out of the sport thing now. Let's. What's up with Sheetz in Parkersburg?
Okay, so there are 2 sheets coming to the area.
Are you sure?
Absolutely positive. It's totally confirmed. One of them is on between 3rd and 4th, across from Matheny Motors. So if you think about where Matheny is downtown,
Yep.
across from it there's a lawyer's office and the Oil and Gas Museum, right?
Right.
Do you know where that is,
Yep,
right?
know exactly where that's
There are
at.
2 parking lots in between that lawyer's office and the Oil and Gas Museum.
And they're putting a
So
Sheetz
the
there?
first, not the first parking lot, but the
Okay.
second parking
Yeah.
lot behind it, which is
Right.
where a lot of the post office people used to park.
Right.
That will be the parking lot. So that kind of joins up with 4th Street right
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
You know,
that's a
where
weird place.
where basically you go up and past the Blennerhassett
Mhm.
after you cross the non-toll bridge from Belpre.
Yeah.
When you loop around, and so basically when you loop around and you take that first left, the Sheetz will be right there if you're coming over from Belpre.
Wow. That's
So to me, that's kind of a decent location. There's
Yeah.
a lot of traffic that passes through there every day. Not to mention, I work for Bureau of Fiscal Service, and I guarantee you I'll be walking over there in the morning when I park, at noon, afterwards. So, heck, I can go in there and grab milk before I go home or whatever.
And I say hats off to him, too, for not putting one right next to 5 others. I mean, it seems to me like, just like down the road here, you've got Speedway, Marathon, BP,
Yeah.
Walmart now.
So the second one, I believe, is going on East Side where McHappy's is. I heard they're going to tear out the McHappy's there on East Side, off of 7th, I believe.
And, okay.
And put it right there.
Right down from Speedway.
Yeah.
But they're, my opinion, they're much better than Speedway.
So seventh. So the one that they're putting right downtown there is actually great because there's nothing right there unless you're from
Yeah.
Belpre. 7th Street, they're kind of a dime a dozen right through there, but
I'm
I
happy that
love
they're coming.
Sheets, because if you've ever been in one, you order everything off of a computer. If you order a sub, you literally check that. I want onions, I want lettuce, I want mayo, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about them is everything's completely made to order.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's that could actually go into a different topic of the, everybody talking about wanting the $15 an hour jobs, working fast food, and they have kiosks at
Yeah.
Sheets that works great.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be very easy for a McDonald's or a Wendy's or a Burger King to put that in instead of person.
And Sheets has been doing that for years. So they've always been what they called MTO, made to order. I remember when I lived in the Clarksburg, Fairmont, Morgantown area, the ones up there, you had a sheet of paper off of a pad, you would tear it off, and you would just check on paper exactly what you wanted and exactly how you wanted it made. So they've always done that type of thing.
It's a cool system. We've been disappointed in several different times now where certain things were supposed to come or rumor they're coming, and I don't know. It's just good to see something new coming into the area. We're finally getting, I guess, I know this is not on our agenda, but we might be getting IHOP at some point.
So actually, that's supposed to be being built right now. I just went past that area where they put Wings, etc. in Marietta is supposed to be where that IHOP's being built. So across from Walmart, where they built the 2 hotels and put the Wings, etc. That's where the IHOP is supposed to go. That's supposed to be a done deal too. I haven't heard anything about it lately, though.
So what's up with all these hotels being built everywhere?
Well, so originally it was oil and gas, especially if you go up I-77 and you look at the ones that are sitting empty in Caldwell. And they built 2 new ones in Caldwell right now. They built 2 new ones right there at North End at, what is that called, Emerson Commons or whatever now, Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I assume all that was to serve oil and gas, and I guess those people are hoping to hell now that the gas boom comes back again, because I think a lot of those hotels are sitting empty.
Yeah, actually, at some point in time, I've got some good friends in the oil and gas business that sometime we'll have them on here and
Yeah, that'd be great.
and kind of give some updates to. They know a lot of people in the area, and they deal with the leasing and who's leased what, and so we'll have them down here sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to
talk
get 4
about it.
people on here so we could all banter back and forth. I think maybe we can get Missy Roberts to move from the couch to the podcast. She's shaking her head no, but
I know that Susan Dillon would be more than happy to come back. She already said that she would sit in for me whenever I could.
I'd like to get some of your DJ friends. I'd like to get Mike Steinspring on here.
yeah.
I'd like to get Alec Ortiz on here. I'd like to get Matt Greathouse on here.
Oh my God, some of the stories.
Yeah. I'd love to have Steinspring on here, though. So let me tell you a story about Mike.
Yeah.
So I got a job working for Mike, I cannot pronounce his last name, that owns Pizza Place, the one in the mall. So the one that owns the mall in Marietta Pizza
Yep.
Place. He owned a club called Michael's that was in the Park Shopping Center. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was a dance club. So I got a job
Yep.
as Mike's DJ back when I was in radio.
Okay.
Well, cause Mike Steinspring
Yeah.
was his DJ before that, and he was getting ready to move to Florida. This was 1991, maybe 1990, 1991.
Yep.
He was getting ready to move to Florida, so Mike Steinspring brought me into Michael's and trained me how to run the DJ equipment at Michael's, how to do the mixes, all that kind of stuff. And then one night after he trained me, he took me over to his apartment or house or whatever it was back, and he had this ungodly setup of so back when people actually beat mixed actual records,
Yep.
talking about beat,
Yep.
from like the Saturday Night Hot Mix you used to hear on the radio.
Right.
Like Mike could do that. Mike could actually like beat mix. I mean, because today people do it with equipment and digital stuff and
Right,
CDs,
right.
and it's real, or not CDs, but with computers, and it's really easy.
Right.
Anybody can, because the computer does the beat mix match for you. But I'm telling you, Cause back in the day, he could literally take 2 records and he could go back and forth between 2 records, and you wouldn't even know like it's not the same record playing continuously, and he showed me his setup. He had like thousands of records on the freaking wall and all this ungodly amount
Murphy
of-
still has all his records.
So I don't know what he did with all of it, because that was actually the last time until he came back here, and then I saw that he was your friend on Facebook, which was like not even up to a year ago.
Yeah.
I hadn't talked to him since that day in 1991.
I have
or
known
whatever.
Mike since about the same time. He didn't know me as well as we know each other now, but he was also one of the first people that got into, back then it was the new technology of the CD mixers.
Yes.
Or the
So that was the
scratch.
other story, was he did Bedrocks. He was one of the first DJs at Bedrocks.
Mhm.
I remember when they actually had CDs where you could do the beat mixes back and forth, but he could do the seamless beat mixes of CDs also, just like he could with the records. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy, it didn't matter what he was using. I'm assuming he can do computers today to do some
yes.
awesome mixes.
He's into video now. Have
Yeah.
you been to any of his shows?
No, I don't even know what kind of stuff he does or what it sounds like or anything like that, but I
He-
would love to see one of his shows.
He just had him and DJ Correct, Kurt Plummer, had a show up at the Adelphia last night. Actually, what they have this program in town called the Rewind.
So Alec and Matt, that's the same thing they participate in
yes,
too, right?
yes.
Alec and Matt, and then they have two other guys, I think, that are.
Yeah,
With them, too.
yeah, they sort. Well, Alec is. I don't know if they really. Alec has been more of.
There's a
he's
guy called
taken some
Caveman or
pictures.
something like that. But he
He's
spells it with 4 and 3.
actually that's over at the
Blue Pit or something
yeah,
like
Blue
that,
Pit.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Still the same idea, though, right?
yeah. Theirs is more electric daisy type, or not electric. It's more. What's the type of music I'm think? It's more electronic.
EDM stuff. Is that what you're
EDM.
talking-
Yeah.
And that's not
EDM.
what Mike does. His is not EDM.
No. Mike is more era specific music.
Oh, we're talking
He's
like-
special.
Old hip hop and.
We're talking 80s. We're talking
Okay.
last night they did a thing on the 90s, and again, like you say, I mean, and what's cool with Steinspring is now not only does he do the mixing like you were talking about, but he has a video that goes along with it that he plays up behind
wow.
him, and he
That's pretty impressive.
splices these videos together and puts it along with his music. The whole show, it's incredible to watch what he does, and he does it very well. So I mean, it's it's just incredible that with where he's been and where he is now, the technology, and he's just kind of went with it. So
Yeah. So those were my. I DJ'd at Michael's in the Park Shopping
Michael's.
Center, and I DJ'd at Remedies. If you remember Remedies, when O.B. Epling had it.
Yeah. yeah, what was
DJ there.
was Michael's? Wasn't Michael's also Razzles, or was that not the same?
I don't know. I
Do
don't
you
know what it
remember Razzles?
No, I do not. I don't know if it was ever anything else. What I do remember about Michael's though is the DJ booth was up top,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like a 2-story, and so you could look down on everybody on the dance floor, and I always loved that. That was always one of my favorite places to play.
That would be pretty.
Whereas Remedies was just cramped. it was like the width of this table.
So how long you've been in Parkersburg for a while?
So I left for 2 years.
Were you around when the wheel was around?
Yeah, I do remember the name. The wheel.
It burnt down, of course. You realize that?
No,
No,
I'll tell you when
okay.
I was gone though. I was gone during the country music line dancing craze and Dallas. I was
Dallas.
never here for Dallas.
Dallas.
When I did live in Fairmont, and we had a similar place over there, but I always heard people talking about Dallas. When I got back here, which was '94, it was starting to go out, and everybody was going to the Double L. And I did go to the Double L a couple times, but then it faded out, and then they kept the name Double L, but turned it into a regular dance club.
Dallas was awesome. I mean, as far as size, I mean, you didn't
Yeah,
have
it's huge, right?
Yeah, but they never did have anybody in there. It didn't seem like there was ever. I mean, the couple times that I was there, for as big as the place was, there just wasn't enough people there to.
Yeah, well, and it was kind of a flash in the pan. That kind of craze, it came and went really fast. Well, and it had a lot to do with the music at the time. You had all these dance mixes like Boot Scootin' Boogie and Watermelon Crawl, where they would do dance mixes of it, and then I even remember I worked at Kicks 103 back in the day, and they would actually have a country dance show where we would play these remixes but they only made those remixes for like a couple years, and then they went out, and then they stopped producing them, and so that was kind of the end of the line dancing craze. Hey, by the way, for everybody watching online, I see we have 6 to 7 people. If you want to leave anything in the comments while you're watching the video, we read those, and if there's anything you want to talk about or want us to address or you want us to see your opinion, in the comments on the Facebook Live video is where you want to post, and let us know what you think and what you want us to talk about and all that type of stuff. So we welcome your comments, because we're sitting here monitoring the feed. So,
Speaking of, hey, I just brought up when we were back on UFC here, we were talking about the Ultimate Fighter thing here. It just shows here. The headlines say beef. Garbrandt chokes T.J. Dillashaw in the middle of the Ultimate Fighter taping. So, I'm really excited to get back to Vegas for the.
okay, now why is that funny?
Yeah,
your
why
wife
is it
is
funny?
laughing.
I don't see any
Not
comments.
yet. No.
Okay, we need to get on here and find out why we're not seeing comments.
Yeah, me either. I'm actually watching it on my laptop, and I do not see any comments.
Okay, actually, I think I found it. If you go on and click on the thing, it's going down through there. Okay. Can either of you tell, Dave Buchanan, can either of you tell us if Ed Sheeran is famous?
Okay, so my daughter loves Ed Sheeran. I don't mind Ed Sheeran. So he's got a new song out called "Shape of You." I actually like it. The old stuff, he had a couple things that I liked, a couple things that I didn't like. But you know, he's for that generation, not for our generation.
Yep.
Hey, just show me how to get the comments here, because I'm not getting them.
Go on. It looks like, let me see where I'm at here.
I just need to go back into it again.
Go on the Roberts Report page.
Right, I'm there.
And click on the actual video.
Yeah, I did that.
And you should have comments.
Oh, there they are.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, well, there's all kinds of people. We apologize, guys. This is kind of new here. We didn't know that they were popping up on here. So
okay, so Kendrick Flynn says Ed Sheeran is amazing, and he's an amazing voice. He's not the Justin Bieber type. I got to make a confession here, and I get teased for this all the time, but I like pop music, okay? So I like Justin Bieber's new stuff, especially the stuff that's produced by Skrillex, like the
I agree.
Like Sorry. I love that song.
I agree.
I like Taylor Swift, especially the new stuff like Bad Blood and Style and all that kind of stuff. So
hey, you know what? She's a marketing genius.
But and then I like the other side too. I like some Avenged Sevenfold, and I like some hardcore rap, and I like some country music, and a lot of it has to do with being a DJ. I've been exposed to a lot of music, and
that's kind of what got me into wanting to do. Obviously I'm not the caliber that DJ Koss is, but I DJ weddings every now and then for Roberts Entertainment, and that's kind of the reason why I got into it, was because the the whole music aspect. But I agree. Justin Bieber, his new stuff, now that he kind of got out of his punk stage, I think he's a pretty good entertainer. And
okay, so I'm reading down through these comments. First of all, Jenny Williamson says, for the one sheets on east side, they're tearing out McHappy's, Napoli's, and the auto shop to put that in. So that's where it's going to go, if you know where all those are. Dave Buchanan also says, Sheets has awesome food. You are right.
Kendrick, baseball.
Your wife says Sheets has pretty good gas station food. Rick Sprigg loves college sports. He agrees. Tom
Schreckengost.
Yeah, that.
Yep.
Says 1994, so I don't know what we were talking about. Oh, was that the strike? Yeah, because that was when the Reds won.
Oh, yeah.
That was when the Reds won the World Series, was that year, right? So, yeah, Thank you. That is correct, Tom. It was 94.
Does anybody care if Ronda Rousey ever fights again?
Just because I like seeing her on TV because of the way she looks. Right? That's very sexist, right? But that's how I feel. You know, because when you said she's probably going off to start a family, I was like, oh, if it were only me.
Well, her boyfriend just got the living crap beat out of him too. So
who is he? What happened?
Travis Brown. He's also a UFC fighter. So
and he had a match and
yeah,
got beat really bad, or what?
Yeah, he's not doing too well. He's lost his last 3 fights, I believe, and yeah, I just don't see him coming back. He might come back. I don't see her coming back.
Yeah.
So, college sports more exciting because of the rivalries. Professional sports lose. I agree with that. You're playing with heart, college sports, and you're paying for money, or playing for money.
They're paying for money.
Paying for money, yeah. So,
Travis Brown is an eye poker. What does that even mean? Oh, he pokes people. Oh, so
he's one. Yeah, he's one of the reasons why the UFC come out with the new rule now, where you're
a wise guy.
Faced up. Yeah, you're not allowed to. Whenever you have your hands out, you're not allowed to have your fingers extended now. They have to be either as a fist.
Oh.
Because they keep getting poked.
Tom just corrected us. The Blue Jays won the year of the strike. The Reds won in 1990. Okay, all I remember is Rob Dibble.
Rob Dibble.
Oh, and Kendrick Flynn says that I believe he said he likes the song with Justin Bieber, Skrillex, and Diplo, which is like my favorite too. What's it called? Where Are You Now? Yeah, like that song.
All right, so
is Mo Howard. Mo Howard is also an eye poker? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. No, he's talking about the Three Stooges. Okay, that one. Sorry, Dave, that one went over my head. I ought to moisturize you.
All right, I'm trying to find out why I'm not seeing it.
Okay, well, what I did now is just left it on the page here, and they're actually popping in right there on the page. So that worked for me. If you just hit refresh. If you hit refresh while you're on the page, and then just go to where the live video is, and you ought to see the comments are there. Well, they're not for you, but they are for me.
Huh, and they were a little bit ago.
Anyhow.
Yep. Let's see.
Kendrick Flynn says, "Do you see me?" No, I don't see you, Kendrick.
How would we see you?
Maybe he's talking about a song.
Oh, the comments. I was going to say, no, you're not streaming through here, so.
And then Nathan Ayers says Kendrick's opinion doesn't even matter. I take it they know each other, because if they don't, we're going to start something here.
Okay.
So I was trying to think whether there's anything else going on locally. You wanted to talk about ODs. Are you on that? Are you on the page? There's a page called "What's Happening MOV." Are you on that on Facebook? Your wife says she is.
No,
you're
I'm not.
There. So the deal with that. Yeah, come on up here, Missy. Good Lord. That page has ODs on it every day, and what it is there's people who like listen to the scanner all day, and every time they hear something on the scanner, they post it on this "What's Happening MOV" page, and if you're on that page, you should just subscribe to it just for the entertainment content, because on that page, you'll see, you would not believe how much more drug traffic that you see that you don't even know about, that you don't see on WTAP or in the news and Sentinel or anything like that.
What's happening in MOV?
Yeah, Nathan Ayers says he agrees. That page is nuts, he says, and it is.
Is that it there? Yeah, join group.
Yeah, MOV, What's Happening, that's it. So I had it backwards, but yeah.
Okay.
And so just when you get on there, just scroll down and look at some of the comments, and you'll see like overdose, say like overdose on 13th Street, or guy had his head chopped off, or
So what's up with all these people going through the OD thing and then
Nathan, don't forget about sex.
Multiple times going back and getting
You can get knocked up.
revived. With
You're talking about
the pack, or what's it called?
What's the shot? Is it
what's that? Narcan?
Narcan or something like that? Yeah.
Narcan. Yeah, Narcan.
Yeah, they're like giving it out like candy now.
Yeah. I mean, is that really fixing the problem?
No, and Nathan's right. I agree with. He says there's nothing to do in town. That's the problem. It's bowling or drugs, and I don't like bowling.
Yeah, I mean, and that's going to be. I tell you what, that's right there. Will be a good subject for another night. But
again, Kendrick, you forgot about sex.
This area. When I say this area, I have to say South Side. It seems like we always get snubbed for any of the new. When was the last time that we're getting a Los Trancas, which is a food place? I mean, that's cool. But you go up to Vienna, you got everything in Vienna. You've got Applebee's, you've got Outback, you've got Olive Garden, you got all these places to eat. South Side, man, if there's an investor out there, somebody needs to.
Well, that's not true. So you have Walmart. There's Kohl's. Supposedly there's a Target coming at some point. That's the rumor. You have Bob Evans. You have Arby's. You have Jumbo. You have Tractor Supply. You have Cracker Barrel. You have some hotels. You have Taco Bell. Of course you have Taco Bell.
Yeah, Taco Bell. That's my favorite
Missy
place.
wishes there was no Taco Bell, but you have Taco Bell.
Yeah, it just seems.
And don't
like,
forget about Mary B's.
Yeah, I love Mary B's.
So do I.
But you go to one of the other.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's not Outback, it's not Texas Roadhouse, but Vienna is the main area. I mean, that stuff's not in Belpre. It's not in Marietta either. That's the main area where everybody goes. It's the most traveled road in the state, so everybody's.
We have
to be up there.
We have an empty Coldwater Creek out here. Huge building.
Yes. I've always hoped they would make that into an Amazon warehouse. That's what I would like to see.
That would be nice.
Happen there.
That would be nice.
So because the goal for Amazon, if you don't know this, by the way, I work in tech, so I kind of keep up on these things. The goal for Amazon is to give the United States one-day delivery. So the way they're starting it is they're building warehouses in major cities right now so they can give major cities one-day delivery. And then the next step after that would be to give major cities same-day delivery so that cities like Charleston and Columbus and Cleveland and Akron and Cincinnati and those places can get one-day delivery. It'll either be done through their own fleets or eventually through drones, or if they can get contracts with like UPS to do same-day delivery or stuff like that, but it'll be out of those warehouses they're building in town. And then the next phase after that would be to be able to give the whole United States one-day or same-day delivery. That's
smart.
why I would like to see, places like the Coldwater Creek warehouse eventually become Amazon. And it doesn't have to be Amazon. There are lots of companies. Walmart's trying to get into the same deal where they're trying to transition from retail stores to online business because companies like Amazon are eating their lunch. So that warehouse it's going to be filled eventually. It's just we got to see who it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of feel like our economic development department or whatever.
Well, Nathan makes a good point here. He does say that warehouse would be perfect for a trampoline gym.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of cool to see if you could jump to the ceiling on that thing.
Yep.
Or an indoor go-kart track, or both, or rock climbing.
At one point they talked about putting in an indoor water park, but I mean that's just rumor, but
yeah, that'd be okay.
So,
your wife just commented there was one individual in town that they Narcaned 11 times in a few day period. Okay, I guess it's not funny, but it sounds hilarious to me. So what else locally? South beat PHS in the tournament the other night, and they weren't expected to. So that was a big deal.
South PHS. Boy, that would be a good local topic.
Yeah.
Let's talk about stadiums.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with you? Have you had any insight on that? I mean,
No, I don't know anything about it. I always thought it would be cool though if Stadium Field had to close, and then PHS got a taste of their own medicine and had to play at Erickson for a few years. I think that would be great. But that's just, and I did not go to PHS or South. I'm from Ohio, folks, so I'm coming from an outside viewpoint here. But I've just heard.
It's just a sore subject around. Me being a South alumni. We pretty much built the field and everything around it based on donations and
Right.
sponsors and this and that.
The way that I'll say this to make it the most politically correct as possible. At a minimum, I don't like the way the PHS renovation was handled.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and you know what? I've talked to Mike Steinspring. He's even expressed on his distaste on how reckless the funds were handled.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know. It just stinks that and the only ones that it really hurts in the end is the kids that go through the school, and it's ridiculous.
So Nathan brings up what happened to the baseball park that we were going to get at Fort Borman. Have you heard anything more about that? Because that was kind of interesting to me as well.
I honestly wasn't a big fan of that, but I don't think that I don't think it's going to happen now.
Really?
New administration. Of course, somebody out there might be able to correct me. Maybe Gary Turner or Al Collins or somebody else. That's maybe Christy Middleton. Some of you all that it's more involved directly in the downtown stuff, maybe you might be able to, fill us in on that. Because the last I heard that it was going to happen, and then it seems like after Newell left office that it just kind of went to the wayside. I think it'd be a pink elephant. We had a field. We've had ball teams come in and out of City Park over there. That field used to be immaculate. The baseball field did it over there, and
Not so much.
yeah, I mean, back to the thing with baseball. Is that baseball field really going to bring in enough finance to support it? I don't know. It is.
So the Menards is going to happen, but I can't remember where. Yeah, I did see that. Somebody just commented about that. So they are developing so much land right now that you wonder what all's going in there. I know behind Western Sizzling on the hill, they started making a road up there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them digging out more, doing more excavation there beside of Coles lately. In the
At one point,
that
I
area.
think that the place out by Western Sizzling was held up in some kind of legal thing with the Johnson error stuff. I don't know, but I think that's what happened there. They were going to build a hotel there at the top of that hill,
oh really?
but it went to the wayside.
Yeah,
So
probably more waiting on oil and gas.
Yep.
If that cracker plant ever happens, that'll be a big deal.
Yep.
And that hotel would probably be needed right there in that area.
So, I think we ought to just kind of maybe open the floor up here and just answer a few comments off.
Yeah, I think we've pretty
Line
much
here.
went through them as they
We're,
went through. One of the things I did want to say is that if you want to talk tech, I can do that. If you have questions about Android or Apple, Macs, PCs, networking, anything like that, I can answer your questions, and Craig can chime in there.
who do you have for a
You're-
wireless carrier?
I have AT&T. The reason I was on Verizon, hands down, Verizon is the best coverage around here, especially if you're in rural areas. Like if you go out Route 339 or you go out Route 47 or, whatever, Verizon is the best. What it was with me is like unlocked phones, they don't make them for Verizon. Like if the Google Nexus phones and stuff like that, at one time, you couldn't get those for Verizons, or like the OnePlus phones and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons I went to AT&T. Now, Verizon is pretty much caught up, and you can pretty much buy just about any phone. It's still not all of them, like the OnePlus brand phones, still won't run on AT&T. But like the Google, the new Google Pixel, you can run on AT&T. The Motorola Nexus 6, the Huawei Nexus 6P, those will all run on Verizon now. So there's not really any reason. I got a really good deal on AT&T at the time that I signed up with them. I got a 30 gig plan for the price of a 15 gig plan. So me, my wife, and my daughter are sharing 30 gigs. We're paying the 15 gig price. So it's with everything, tax all for 3 phones, I'm paying $165 every month, which is not too shabby.
Wow. What the heck are we doing wrong?
And then, but that's with my wife's Ohio University discount, which is 17%.
Are your phones paid off?
Yes. So I'm not.
That's where the difference is.
Yeah,
we're on Next. So
yeah. So I was too, but I went ahead and paid something ridiculous, like $2,500 at once, and like paid off all 3 phones or something like that. But so you could probably say add another $90 to that, probably. So 9 and 6 is 15. Yeah, so probably I would have been about $250 or something like that if I didn't have the phones paid off.
Yeah, we pay $340 for 4 phones.
Yeah. So that sounds right if you're still paying them all.
But we're on a 40 gig plan. The thing that kind of stinks is I use mine for whenever I DJ, and if you get any of the unlimited plans like they offer now, you're not allowed to tether on it.
See, I didn't know that. I thought you could still. I'm pretty sure with Verizon you can.
Verizon, you can. That is correct.
Yes. Are you AT&T?
I'm AT&T. The other day I went into the Verizon store and talked to them, and yes, they do have a plan.
And what they do is it's unlimited until you hit 22 gigs, and then they start throttling you back.
Yeah, it slows down, they say.
Right.
But, that might be a consideration, and especially, I DJ a lot in the rural areas. I've out in St. Mary's. There was twice last year that, I had 0 signal. So
do you actually go out and download or buy a song on the fly?
Yes.
Ever when people ask for it? Or
yes, I do. That helps me build my database.
So what do you do? Like, do you buy it off iTunes?
MP3s. Nope.
Okay.
I always go straight MP3s because that way I can use it across any format. And and I buy everything off of Amazon.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. There are a few places. So Google Play Music, if you buy, that's what I buy my stuff off of. When you download, it's in MP3 format, and I know Amazon is the same way. I buy everything off Google Play because then it goes directly into my phone on the Google Play app.
Oh, okay.
And then if I want to, I can download it. But
I got you.
And Amazon is the same way. I think you can play your purchased music through their app too, right?
Yeah. Actually, I have it on my phone. I also have it on my DJ laptop. Actually, got a couple other comments on here. Let's see. Making Fort Borman a fort. Huh? A fort? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Greg Brana laughed at the movie theater idea where Burwell Downtown Square, Sunset, and Jungle theaters had failed.
We're talking about they were going to build another movie theater?
I haven't heard that.
There were plenty of movie theaters around here between Athens, Marietta, and Parkersburg.
Kendrick, he's asking about what you do.
Okay, so Angela Casto Blackwell says, they said Monday when I was at AT&T, a new unlimited plan was going to drop this weekend to compete with Verizon. They didn't have the details, but there you go. So stick with AT&T for another week, and hopefully. So AT&T already had an unlimited plan, but it was only if you had DirecTV. and it was still more expensive than everybody else. It was something like $100.
Right.
And you had to have DirecTV too, but that's all they had so far. So thanks, Angela. We'll be looking forward to that, and I may end up switching to an unlimited. But right now, the 30 gigs has been fine for me. Usually it's my daughter is the big data user. What'll happen is there'll be like a week where she'll go off of Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden I'll get this message that she used 10 gigs. And
We know those messages well.
Yeah. And so that happens a lot. My wife and I probably use 2 gigs a month between the two of us.
Yeah, tell me how we destroy 40 gigs in a month.
Yeah. So we've done that. So like I said, I have 30, and I've come real close to hitting the 30. I actually had one where, so I don't know if you know this, but you can shut off data on a family member's phone, and it'll automatically kick back on at the when the billing cycle starts again.
I have done
so
that.
I've had to do that to my daughter because the plan was like 30 gigs, and we'd hit 27, and there was like 5 days left in the billing cycle. I was like, you're off. So it only works for her on Wi-Fi until the next billing cycle starts.
How'd she like it?
I've done. She doesn't. Yeah,
Didn't care.
You can't phase her. You know my daughter. She's like as even keeled as you can possibly get. You can't shake her up.
Good. All right.
Oh, okay. Who was that again?
Kendrick
Oh,
Flynn.
okay.
He's actually one of Matt's friends.
Where does he work?
He works at CBS and is going to school.
Oh, okay. For it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. So yeah, that's technology. And your iPhone, is your entire family iPhone?
No.
So some of them are Android.
All of us except for Missy.
Missy's Android.
Yeah, she's had Android now, and she is dying to get back.
So I've had Android since day one. My very first phone was a Droid X, and that was like 2008 or something like that, and I've never went iPhone. I did have an iPad for like a month.
You didn't like it?
It was okay. Now, what I will say, and I've thought about going iPhone just to have the experience, just because I've been Android for so long. One of the things I do like is being able to share messages across the entire platform. So you get a text message on the iPhone, you can go to the iPad and read it, you can go to the Apple Watch and read it. With this, it's not that way unless you get a third-party app that you can put on your Android tablet where you can read your text messages or whatever. I mean, of course, with Facebook messages and stuff like that, it all works because Facebook is on every platform. But just for text messages, it doesn't. You have to have I use the AT&T Messages app to be able to read stuff on my tablet. So I do like the idea that Apple has a lot of things that work seamlessly between, like my wife uses like audiobooks and stuff like that, and she can put down the iPhone and take it to the tablet and continue, and so there are a lot of nice things like that about being on Apple. But
so Missy, what do you not like about Android? Why are you going back now? Your phone in general. Yeah.
what does she have?
She has an LG Flex. You ever heard of
Now
one?
see, that has a lot to do with it too. That's not one of LG's better phones. So yeah. So if she would have had something like a G4 or a G5 or a V10 or a V20, it would have been a lot better phone and probably a lot better experience than what she's having now.
I like the stability. I mean, as far as the software goes, very rarely do you ever have an iPhone app freeze up.
But see, Android is like that now, especially with version 7. So that's what I have a Nexus, which is the vanilla phone from Google, directly from Google. So Google has two phones that's made directly by them, or the software is made directly by them. So it's just plain vanilla Android without a bunch of crap apps on it. And so it's the Nexus phones, and then they just brought out the Pixel phones, and both of those are rock solid. And I will say, even Samsung phones now, since about the S6 and above, the Galaxy S6, the Galaxy S7s, and they're about to come out with the Galaxy S8 are rock solid now.
Hopefully the battery's better.
Not a lot of that. Yeah, and batteries are better too. This thing here,
Is that did you say it? No, that's
this
not,
is a
that's
Nexus 6P. Yeah.
Okay. And the
Yeah.
Galaxy S7s are the ones they won't let on airplanes right
No,
now.
that was the Note 7s.
Note
And
7.
they're,
Oh, okay.
They're all turned back in and,
Okay.
and collected now, and
Okay.
that's not an issue
I
anymore.
gotcha.
So yeah, that's no more problems with exploding phones, except for the occasional thing. When you have lithium-ion batteries, you're going to have short outs and explosions. It's just the nature of the technology. But no, so since the last time you had an Android phone, it's changed quite a bit and gotten a lot more stable. And like I would say, if Missy had something newer than the Flex, she'd see that too. But
Nexus 5, I think, was what I had.
but yet I understand why why people would think that if they had older Android phones. And but I've wanted to try out Apple. The thing I'm getting into now is I've been invested in Android so long that I have all these apps that I paid for, and all of my music that I paid for is on Google Play Music, which isn't an issue. There is a Google Play Music app for Android or for iPhone and iPad too, so I could still go play that. But I have a big investment there. Had a couple comments about that. Greg Brannon says, shut off the automatic play option for videos on Facebook, and that will save a ton of data. Greg, that's a good point, because Facebook 2 weeks ago just changed that to automatic. So if you haven't, I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you have a Facebook video come up in your timeline now, it automatically plays. It used to be it didn't do that, and so now you have to go back and tell it to not play automatically, or it automatically plays. And so yeah, Greg's right, that is a data user on the phones and such. So thanks, Dave, for bringing that up. And Dave Buchanan says, I have zero issues with my Droid Turbo. Had zero issues with my Droid Razr Max before that. Well, he's going way back in the in the Android phone era there. But yeah, but I agree, Dave. I don't have any problems with my Nexus. And actually, when I did have problems, it went all the way back to the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, which was several generations of phones. But it was before the Note 5, the Note 4, the Note 3. that I really, yeah, with really from about the Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy Note 3 is when Samsung got pretty rock solid. So the Note 4 has been good, the Note 5 has been good, the Note 7 was going to be good, and so in the same way with the Galaxy S4, the Galaxy S5, the Galaxy S6, they've all been great phones, and so is iPhone. Someone said, did Scott ever say what he does? I'm an IT specialist for the federal government, which obviously means I'm not allowed to talk about it that much, but I am an IT specialist for the federal government, and you can probably figure out where that is, so shouldn't be that difficult. And so it used to be that I did Unix. I was a Unix systems administrator, and now I'm a lead for end user support, which is all the Windows and mobile phone devices that everybody uses in my bureau. So now what?
Well, it's almost Walking Dead time.
Well, what time
it
is
looks
it?
like it.
Yeah, it's 8:40. Let me see what else we had on our agenda here. We talked about UFC. We talked about Sheets. Thanks to everybody for commenting. Really appreciate that.
Do think we need to come back sometime or other to revisit the whole OD thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And we'll get a little more information.
And I want to give everybody a... Dave Buchanan says, thanks to me for spying on us and stealing our phone records. I don't work for anybody who does that. So I can't take credit for spying on you and stealing your phone records. My area deals with money. I do want to talk about politics with you, because everybody will find out as we go along here that I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican, and
Actually, I'm independent.
yeah, but you're conservative then. Let's put it that way, right? And I'm not a hardcore liberal either. Actually, I mean I'm a I'm a concealed carry advocate. I have a permit. Got it locked up in the car right now.
So at what point do you what we got a few minutes here still,
Yeah,
but at what point do you cut off from the far left? I mean, would you
So I am for social programs. I do like, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, taking care of people, that type of thing. I even like welfare under certain situations. I do think they ought to work for it, I don't. If somebody wants to drug test welfare recipients, that's fine with me. I do think people should earn the money that they're getting, but I do believe in social programs.
what about abortion?
Man, that's a tough one. So for me, it's not a moral issue because I'm not a Christian. I was raised Christian, but I'm not a practicing Christian. I'm not atheist, but I'm pretty agnostic. So for me, it's not a moral issue, but yet I don't like the idea of terminating a fetus. To me, it's.
See, I get into debates all the time. There's always the debate of at what point.
Yeah,
it
at what point is
becomes-
it murder? And to me, it possibly could be murder. I don't know.
That's my opinion.
But for me, here's where I differ with the right wing, the extreme right wing, is that if somebody's a victim of incest or somebody's a victim of rape, I think they ought to have the right to have an abortion if they want it. I don't think they ought to be forced to carry their father's baby or forced to carry the baby of somebody that they were raped by. Now, if they want to, fine. But again, that's where I guess that's where I'm pro-choice. If they choose to carry it, fine. But if they choose to get an abortion, yeah, I'm okay with that too. So I'm not. I really consider myself kind of moderate. I don't. To me, I just look at the issue and vote what's right for me or give the opinion that's right for me.
You sound a lot more conservative than you do than.
Yeah, I guess what it is that I'm just anti-religion, and the Republican Party seems to be the party of the religious right, and that's kind of where one of the reasons why I'm not a Republican. Yeah.
I could see that. Well, we're knocking on the door here at 8:45, so
yeah. Walking Dead is on my DVR though, so
okay.
It doesn't really matter if I go a couple more minutes. Yeah, so the politics is a tough thing to me. So and here's the weird thing, and this is one of the reasons I consider myself moderate. I voted for Bush twice, but I voted for Obama twice. The reason I voted for Obama is when ACA was introduced, I thought it was a great idea. Once ACA was introduced, I did not think it was a good idea. That has a lot to do. Your political beliefs are really influenced by your culture, how you were brought up, what you believe, the things that affect you the strongest. What happened to you? Got to buy a new phone now. So for me, it had a lot to do with my son was type 1 diabetic when all this was going on, and I wanted, number one, my son not to ever be denied for his pre-existing condition when he got on insurance.
Yep.
And number two, my son was in college at the time, and I wanted him to be covered till age 26. And it turns out those were the only two good things about ACA, though. So now when it's coming time for repeal and replace, I'm actually kind of in favor of it if they can find something that works better, but also something that leaves that what do they call them, the original mandate. Or
I'm excited for the tax thing. I think our tax system is so
oh my gosh, see, I totally agree with you there, because so this will be the first year that I don't have two kids that I claim. My son just started working for Department of Defense, and he's completely off of my taxes now, so I only have my daughter. I figured out that this year, if I didn't have my daughter on my taxes, I would have had to have paid $3,000. Whereas with my son and my daughter both on my taxes, I was getting back about $1,500. It's that much of a difference. when you lose those dependents.
Yeah, and it's so difficult too. I mean, it takes. I mean, for me to do my personal and business stuff, it takes me a better part of 4 hours.
You ought to hear everybody. Everybody ought to hear. Craig's always like, "Oh, I need to get this so I can write it off on my taxes." or, oh wait, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go do that because I can claim that on my taxes. And he's like itemizing, like a candy bar at the convenience store.
Hey, you know what? If I'm out on a DJ gig and I go to buy a candy bar, it's itemized.
I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you when the tax code is so screwed up. So, and I agree with you there. I'm kind of in favor of. I want to see what Trump's going to do with the tax code because when I look and see that my wife and I paid nearly $10,000 in taxes, and yet the federal government wants $3 more grand from me.
Yeah.
No.
Something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, we're paying for the bad decisions for the debt. And, and I don't mind chipping in, but when you give and then you have to give more, something's wrong.
Yeah, and then Dave Buchanan says ACA is a train wreck. I can tell you horror stories from personal experience, and yeah, I totally agree. And I'm coming to somebody who can afford my own insurance. I have good insurance available through the federal government. My wife works at Ohio University, and we have good insurance available through them. So I haven't had the quote-unquote pleasure of actually having to get on the ACA plans or having to deal with that at all. So I actually feel bad for people who do, and that's just another reason where ACA has done me wrong because they've said my plan is a quote-unquote Cadillac plan now, so I get penalized for having good insurance, and so that's not a good thing either. And I assume you probably have decent insurance through your employer too.
I think it is. I mean, we have the health savings account plan, and I actually like it. It's kind of. I mean, I did like the days whenever you didn't have to deal with the card and stuff, but in some places where it's handy, a couple weeks ago I had the Valley Crud and went over here and you could buy your over-the-counter stuff and your prescription drug, whatever you need to get better, and I don't mind it. And it's a little more expensive than what it used to be, but my wife had some situations there last year and in the hospital that would have cost a buttload of money, and we ended up getting out of there for for $2,000, which
that when she was giving all those lap dances.
Yeah, all the lap dances. Yeah.
I remember that. No, not really. I was just joking.
Now was checking her ticker out. Her ticker seems to be okay according to the doctor.
Good. Don't need a new one, huh?
But yeah, I think it's all right. DuPont.
All right. So that's not bad for a first podcast. I was just looking. We've reached 564 people tonight on the.
That's a pretty good start
on the live broadcast. Not bad for a first day's broadcast at all.
Yeah. So we're going to do this like we talked before every Sunday.
Yeah.
Do it every Sunday.
Yep.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, I would say. So what we talked about was doing a pre-broadcast at 6 o'clock. We would come in here while we're setting up. We'll go ahead and turn on the live feed, and then you can comment about anything you want to talk about during that time, and maybe do that for a half hour. Then maybe at 6:30 actually start the podcast is what we had talked about. I think that sounds like.
I just thought of a real good controversial topic for next week.
Okay.
I think maybe next week we should, since work for DuPont, maybe bring up the C8 thing a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I would kind of like to know the whole deal with DuPont versus Chemours and who's responsible for what and all that kind of stuff. So, let's save that.
There's some
let's
things
save that for next week.
There's some things I can't talk about, but as far as
whatever you
around the C8 part, though, I'm firm. I'm not going to get into it tonight because I'll be here for another hour and a half debating it. So
right. No, that'll be great. I'd love to talk about that next week. And we need to see if we can get some guests in here for next week. See if we can fill up these other 2 mics.
Yeah. Maybe we could get, maybe next week might be a good week to try to bring maybe DJ Koss if he's available. That. And it's tough to get in MG because I know he's got some kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but Alec could. Alec Ortiz could. He's single and crazy, so he could do that.
Yeah, we're going to have some giveaways next week too. By the way,
yes,
we have some movie tickets. I'm not going to say how many, but we do have multiple movie tickets to give away for the Odyssey. Thanks to Dave Buchanan and Melissa Buchanan with their business for donating that, and I think that's all I've got right now.
Other than you're not going to have an iPhone for very long. Yeah,
I'm trying to get a new phone.
All right, well, take us out of here with the theme, man, and we'll see you all next week. After Craig unlocks his phone. Thanks, everybody.
Free from the handcuffs, broke past the chains. The answer's